Welcome to Global Take, presented by School Rubric, a show about the international teaching experience. Teaching internationally is one of the best decisions you can make as an educator. In this show, we will meet teachers and administrators from around the globe living and working internationally. Our hope is that their stories and experiences will inspire you to explore the world of education. We will learn about all aspects of international teaching, from becoming an international teacher to what countries are the best fit for you, to the challenges of being away from your home country. Come take this unforgettable journey to the world of international schools with Global Take, presented by School Rubric. All right. Welcome to another edition of Global Take presented by School Rubric. I am your host, Ryan Sagare, the co-founder of the nonprofit organization School Rubric. Got to say to everybody out there, a big happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Thank you if you're tuning in live. We really do appreciate it. This show is all about connecting educators from around the globe. And that's what we're here to do. We have educators from all parts of the globe today that are joining me on this edition of Global Take. And we're going to meet these educators who are all around the room, all joining me today from all different parts of the world. We're going to go around the room, learn a little bit about these educators and how they got started with their educational careers internationally. Let's roll the prompt. Let's talk about our international career. How did you end up being in international education? Boom. So there are many routes to becoming an international teacher. Everyone has a unique route. We're going to start with Robert Thomas, who I had the pleasure of meeting in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. I know his name's being thrown around by a bunch of international schools with his expertise in pedagogy. Robert, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started with international teaching.
Sure thing. Hey, everybody. Ryan, thanks so much for having me on the show. My name's Rob Thomas. I've been a teacher now for about 13 years. I've had the chance to work in Korea and Taiwan, New York City, and I'm currently based in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, working for an amazing school called Escola, Eleva. It was probably 2008, and I had left a career in finance, took a year off to teach abroad, and found out that education was my passion, and I've been teaching ever since.
Well, thank you, Robert. And I know we met, and you were kind of on the fence about going back into teaching, and then you found Rio, and you found that amazing school, Escola Eleva, and the rest is history. Let's learn from our other guest, Yaara, who's getting ready to start an exciting journey internationally. But Yaara, tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey of how you became an international educator.
Thanks so much. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. I am Yaara. I'm currently based out of Toronto. I'm a Master of Education student and an international teacher moving to Chiang Mai, Thailand in just over 7 weeks. I ended up becoming an international teacher because I am a third culture kid or a student that went to international schools around the world, namely in Dubai and Bahrain. And I am fortunate enough to attend a university that had a job fair called the Teachers Overseas Recruitment Fair. So I hopped on the opportunity as soon as I could.
Well, I'm excited for you. That's so amazing to be able to say that in 7 weeks, you'll be in another country teaching. We're going to hear more about that, but we're going to go to my friend, Andrew, who I had the pleasure of working with in Cartagena, Colombia. Andrew, tell us a little bit about yourself and your teaching journey or educational journey.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for having me on. My journey, I think, started like a lot of others. I was a teacher back in the States. That's where I'm from. I was working in Indiana for 4 years. I had a couple of colleagues who had earlier in their careers had gone international, and they had all these great stories and were telling me, you should do this. I was working in a tiny town in Indiana, and they thought that going abroad would be something that would kind of spark my interest, and I'd really love it. And I've been abroad ever since. I went to a job fair in 2010. That's where I got my job working with Ryan in Cartagena. And then 2 years after that, I jumped to Shanghai, and I've been here ever since.
Yeah, I love these stories and how those job fairs have changed a few of our lives. That's how I got into international teaching, a little town in Iowa where the job fair was. And before you knew it, I was traveling the globe. Thank you all. We have some exciting things that we're going to be talking about today. I do want to remind viewers, if you're watching, go ahead and like, subscribe, share it out. It's really about connecting with other educators from around the world. So linking up with you is an important part of that. So we just want to encourage you to do that. And if you've got a comment or something to say as we're talking here, we'll hopefully throw up a few of those comments and maybe get to a few questions from our live audience. It's all about building this community here, and that's what we're here to do. At the end of the show, you're going to want to stick around because we are going to be doing one of my favorite sections of the show, which is a school spotlight, where we spotlight a school from one of the guests on the show. And today we're going to be going all the way to Shanghai, China with Andrew to talk a little bit about his school there. But we're here to talk about the W's of international careers in education. And that's the why, the when, and the where. Let's go to our first W, the why. Let's roll it. Let's talk about one of the W's, why. The benefits and rewards of being an international teacher. The why we do this. Why? Now we're going to start with you, Yaara, and I know you have a unique perspective because not only are you coming from the perspective of a teacher, but also the perspective of a student. So I think you're the perfect person to start. What are some of the benefits and rewards of being an international teacher?
Yeah, well, first off, as an Ontario qualified teacher, I think one thing that stood out to me about international teaching is that I could jump into the classroom right after I graduated. So right away, I had that full-time contract. I was able to understand teaching by teaching my own class rather than supply teaching. So that's a first obvious example for me. The next being that you are able to interact with a variety of different curriculums from a learning point of view and a teaching point of view. That just makes you a nuanced teacher who is able to deliver different content in different ways to different students. And of course, as a student, but also a teacher, the extracurriculars at international schools are out of this world. I remember I was in grade 7, traveled from Dubai to Vietnam with my teachers and my class, and we did both volunteer work and some touring around, and it was an incredible experience.
You know, Yaara, before I'm gonna shoot this over to Robert. Can you just quickly tell us what a supply teacher is for us non-Canadian people?
Oh, yeah. So a supply teacher is essentially a teacher that goes in each day that their typical teacher is not able to be there. So for example, if they were sick, then a supply teacher will fill in for that day. Sometimes if a teacher will go on maternity leave, they might be in that classroom. A supply teacher might be in that classroom for around 8 months, a long-term contract. But ultimately, this is not your class. You are covering for someone else as they are unable to be there.
Yeah, thanks for that clarification, because I know for some of us in the States, we're like, what is a supply teacher? Andrew, let's go to you for what are some of the rewards and benefits of teaching internationally? And I know there's a lot of them because it doesn't seem like you're ever coming back to the States.
Yeah. I certainly, there are a lot of tangible benefits and a lot of the intangibles. And I certainly, 9 years in here, for me, it's more of the intangibles. Wherever I have gone, and my colleagues here and the teachers I've hired who have worked around the world, there seems to be an incredible collegiality. There's a closeness between international teachers. These are people that you connect with and quite literally go through all these amazing experiences together, highs and lows. and they really are your friends for life. I'm here on the call with you, Ryan. We worked together for just a couple of years, but they were meaningful, good years.
Yeah, I think that it really is true what they say about that international teaching community or education community becoming family. And I know that the bonds and relationships that I have that I created as an international teacher are the strongest or stronger than most. Robert, let's come to you. What are some of the benefits that you've seen with international teaching?
I completely agree with Yaara and Andrew. I think if you're teaching now professionally, your growth pedagogically, you are going to grow as an educator, learning under the leadership and alongside your peers, colleagues at other schools. But you're going to see administrations run schools very different from the way that schools are administrated in your hometown or in other cities or schools that you may have worked in. So I think professionally, you're definitely going to grow. And of course, teaching outside of your own country, your home country, you're going to have a cultural experience unlike anything else that you've ever seen before. It ties into the personal relationships that you're going to have and the people that you're going to meet. If you're thinking about teaching abroad, you're already going to be joined by like-minded individuals, and you're absolutely going to love it.
Yeah, I love that. Michelle wrote that comment, and we appreciate you tuning in, Michelle, about truly lifelong friends. The other co-founder of School Rubric is Wallace, who I met while in Colombia, and I do really consider my international community family. And you brought up a great point, Robert, about the professional opportunity. You've talked to me a lot about all the professional development and opportunities you're able to do in your school that you might not have been able to do if you were kind of stuck in a specific role in the U.S. We're going to go to the win of the W's. So let's roll that prompt and get right into the win of. Let's talk about the win. Starting an international career. What are the requirements? How do I get started? The W win. Well, I know Andrew deals a lot with the hiring process of new teachers and educators internationally. So when is a good time to get started, Andrew?
Well, I think with the people that I've seen that come through applying to YK Pow School, the time is now. The growth of international schools around the world is exploding. Here in China, they are expecting 700 new international schools to be built in the next 20 years. You take that out, 100 average teachers for each of those schools. You're then looking at 70,000 new teachers that we're going to need, and that's true of a lot of countries around the world where this international growth is exploding. What do you need? You need to be a qualified teacher. My advice is to have some experience domestically under your belt. Feel comfortable as a teacher with your practice before you make the jump overseas, because you've got to hit the ground running, so to speak, and be ready as a trained teacher to get into that classroom.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty obvious thing. You got to be certified as a teacher, but I know a lot of people kind of get that mixed up with the TESOL sort of certifications. Robert, I do want to throw this over to you. When do you think people should get started?
I think it's a personal decision. You might want to have experience in your home city or in your home country, but ultimately, when you think that you're ready for an international teaching career, I think that you're going to know. And if you're watching this, you're probably thinking it right now. But yeah, I have to agree with Andrew there. You want to be able to have an idea of how your classroom will flow, your own teaching strategies, your own approaches. And then finally, when you're ready, when you feel comfortable as an educator, you can bring your practice to another country.
Yeah, and it's different for everybody. I've seen teachers come and go in the international teaching community that maybe weren't ready, and then there's people like myself that say to themselves, why didn't I do this earlier? Why did I get started sooner? Yaara, talk a little bit about when you think is a great time to start your international teaching career.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit biased because I am a new career teacher. I'm in this will be my second year of teaching, starting in September. So I would actually encourage young teachers to get involved right away. I think that your practicums give you a wide variety of environments to understand how to teach and to teach different students. I think that there are certain schools that will not hire you if you have 1 to 3 years experience. So you can go to the schools that will, and they're there to give you professional development opportunities to train you. In fact, they like training you because you're pretty malleable as a brand new teacher, that you don't have any experience, so they can really shape you to be the teacher that they'd like you to be. So I would not particularly wait too long, because I think there are such incredible opportunities to grow in an international school as a young teacher. And I think that the confidence that you gain from those first few years are transformative to the way that you're going to be an educator after those 3 years too.
I love everything you said, but I also will preface that by be careful where you do go too, because some of those schools that are willing to take you without that experience, because a lot of schools do ask for that 2-year experience before you get there. So make sure you do your homework before you decide to where you go, so you don't end up in some disastrous school that you don't want to be and have that be your first international teaching experience. But a lot of great things said by you all. Let's get into the next question, which I love to talk about, the travel sort of side of things, the where. Let's talk about the where. What country and school is the best fit for me? Where is that? Where am I going? Where is that? Where are you going? I know for me, Brazil was a perfect fit for me. And so if you can find that perfect fit, I hope you do. Yaara, let's start with you. Well, I guess we can ask, first of all, you're going to Thailand. That's how was that where you decided to go?
Yeah, well, I think the first tip I have with regards to this question is, if you have a set destination in your mind, make it your priority, but don't be fixated too much on the exact location. Think about the situation and the area that you're going to live in, because ultimately you have a list of non-negotiables and you can actually access them in more spaces than that target location. And then next, the reason I chose Chiang Mai, and particularly this school, the American Pacific International School of Chiang Mai, is because of the staff. The leadership, when I sat down with them in an interview, it didn't feel like an interview. They were asking me those questions, but I felt that very comfortable, safe, trustworthy leadership quality that I hope to see in my employer. And so ultimately, I asked them, when I come into the school and I'm in the staff room, what are the teachers like? What do they do for fun? How do you create an atmosphere, especially in light of the pandemic, when you go remote and then back to school? What do you do to support the staff? So I think you think about the country, but then that you'd like to go to, but then you also should be flexible and consider the school culture and whether or not your personal non-negotiables are within that area.
Yeah, I think flexibility is key. Obviously, looking at the school. Andrew, since you do a lot of hiring, I'm going to come to you next. Part of me wants to say, where is the right fit for you? But then, how do you decide it's the right fit for the people that you're looking at?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of good questions that teachers can ask of the schools that they're interviewing with. I think you can get a feel of the school and what it's going to be like before you even get there. But often candidates are waiting for the schools to ask them questions. But my two jobs, including here in China, which I've been at for 9 years, were about being open-minded. I was told by my associate to not be too specific about where I wanted to go, and it would open up doors, and you never know what you might find, and that's what happened to me in Colombia, and then what happened to me here in China. So I think it's more about the school and less about the country. Honestly, I think that teachers get too fixated on places and not enough on the school itself and the culture of the school itself.
Yeah, and we've seen that all. Those of us who went through the job fairs and know that the lines at Barcelona, the school in Spain. Many people trying to get in there, but when you really start to look at kind of the things that you're getting yourself into when you go to that school, the pay might not be as good. When you start thinking about savings, the cost of living, and factor all those things in, it may not be the right fit for you. Robert, let's come to you and hear a little bit about how do you know it's a good fit for you?
I think that when you're thinking about a school or a location, I think that it's important to think about the interests that you have personally as well as professionally. But I mean, if you know that you're not someone that likes cold weather, then a school in the Alps may not be best suited for you. I think that you have to look into the area geographically, if that suits you. Do some research on the culture and see if that's something that you're open to exploring as well.
Yeah, I know one of the exciting things for you and me being in Brazil was, the language, being able to speak the language, but also that beach life outside of school. And I know for you, it's been all of the opportunities you've had with a very innovative school like Escola Eleva to be able to do some of those things professionally. And so that's been exciting for you. We've got a little section at the end here. We're going to keep talking. But before we do that, I do want to encourage everybody again, like, follow, subscribe. But this is one of my favorite parts of Global Take. It's where we go around the globe to visit a school. And so we are going to our school spotlight section, and we are going all the way today to where Andrew is in Shanghai, China. Let's go, Shanghai. It's time for School Spotlight on Global Take, presented by School Rubric. Let's learn more about the stories and information from schools around the world. What's your school story?
Well, hello, everybody. Thanks for joining me this morning, and thanks to Ryan for inviting me to share a little bit about YK Pao School today. Probably a school that you've never heard of, but is doing some really great things here in Shanghai. A little bit about the school. We're relatively young, founded in 2007 with some incredible founders who wanted to put the best of a Chinese education together with the best of an international education. And that's where we have YK Pao School. Grades 1 through 12, 1,650 students, and about 3/4 are quite bilingual, local Chinese, with the other quarter international, also bilingual. We've been CIS and WASC accredited for close to 7 or 8 years now, as well as local accreditation. We've got multiple curricula, including the IBDP, the British curriculum, including IGCSE, as well as the local Shanghai, very rigorous curriculum in the primary and middle schools. For those of you watching, and maybe you've worked in China before, we are rather unique in the sense that we have a unified student body and faculty where our Chinese students and Chinese teachers are in the same school as our international teachers and students, rather than separate streams. So it's one of the big attracting factors of Pao School. For those of you who are interested in teaching and learning at Pao School, Pao School is a little different maybe than a traditional international school, where we're rather selective in our admissions. It's a bit more like a North American independent school. Students highly academic and families incredibly aspirational, looking to attend some of the top universities and colleges around the world. But I think what really is wonderful about Pao School, right down to our mission, is that we value diverse interests. So our students are not just wonderful in the academic field, but they're doing incredible stuff after school and on the weekends. If you are thinking of coming to work at POW School, you're going to be part of a really diverse staff, half local, well-trained, very bilingual Chinese, as well as a great international faculty coming from around the Anglophone world. For me, 9 years in, I think one of the best things about POW School is that we know who we are. We are really big proponents of Chinese language and culture. The teachers the international teachers that really come here and embrace the Chinese language and culture are those who really thrive. It's an incredibly happy school, really supportive of its teachers. People like me, we come and we stay. The average stay time is now a little over 4 years for a teacher here. Shanghai, one of the greatest cities in the world. If you are interested in the arts, architecture, if you are active, if you're a biker, a runner, a walker, you love the city life, the commercial aspect of it, you're going to get everything you want and more here. In a city of 25 million people, food and drink options are endless. It's incredibly clean. It's incredibly safe. And for those of you, whether you're single, whether you're married, if you've got young children, the feedback from all of our staff is that it's one of the most family-friendly cities that they've ever worked in. So come and join us. We'd love to get your application, and it's a transformational experience.
Thank you for traveling across the globe with us to learn more about international schools. To hear more from international educators and learn more about these fantastic institutions, tune in to our live Global Take episodes as we highlight international schools in our School Spotlight section presented by School Rubric. Take me to Shanghai. You know, I follow Andrew on Facebook and Instagram and get to see all his what he's up to outside of school life, and I got to say it looks pretty awesome. I really like that comment you said about teachers come and they stay, and I want to encourage people as we get to this next section. We're going to ask what is your advice for educators thinking about going international? And my advice would be talk to the people that are at the schools. Learn if people are staying there. That's a really good sign that's a phenomenal school. So let's roll that next prompt, because that's what we're going to talk about next. Before we go, why don't we give a little advice? What advice do you have for educators thinking about going international? And Robert, we're going to start with you. What advice do you have for people thinking about going international?
I think that it's super important that you have to ask yourself why you're thinking about doing it. The why is always justifying why you're going to move to another country. It's super important to research the school that you're going to, just to make sure that their values align with yours too.
Awesome. Let's move to Andrew. What advice do you have for prospective international teachers?
Yeah, I'd certainly say yes more than no. I think we often talk ourselves out of things, but on the whole, there are far more positives about going abroad than the negatives. Like Rob said, ask a lot of questions. Part of our interview process, something that we have made it standard, is we connect our teachers, our current teachers, with our prospective teachers. I think we don't guide them. We just say, go talk. And we want our current teachers to give the absolute best, and also the things that aren't great about our school and living and working in Shanghai. seeing the whole picture is what will allow a really good final choice for a school.
Yeah, in the end, right, you want to make that perfect fit because you don't want somebody coming and then not being happy and then leaving. So you really want to you want people to give that honest assessment. I wish I had done in my last teaching experience, I wish I would have done a little bit more talking to the people in the school. Yaara, what advice do you have for people?
Yeah, I think excellent points all around. You all took my answers, but I definitely have to say that being patient as you go through the interview process and determine the school and the place that you're going to, that is the key piece of advice I would give you. It sometimes seems like the Hunger Games. Don't know why. There's so many jobs, so many opportunities, and if you are interested, chances are the schools are interested in you too. But I would suggest that you go with your gut and trust your instinct and be patient, because making the wrong decision, it's a lot of time that you're going to spend there. And at the end of the day, you have to think it's the students that will ultimately see you unhappy. So you want to be patient.
Yeah, I really like what you said about being patient. And I'm sure right now in this new world we live in, there are some more opportunities and a lot more job openings probably than normal. So I'm sure it's a great opportunity. So if you're watching, I think there's a great opportunity. There's some people you can reach out to on the screen, pick their brains and get some advice, which reminds me, I want to talk about our Facebook group, which is Global Educators Network. This is a great way for you all to connect with educators around the globe on Facebook. We post things there regularly that people are talking about what's going on internationally, about different job opportunities. So I encourage you to go there and connect with educators from around the globe. This Thursday, we'll be back on a regular time. This is unusual time for us, but we're going to be talking about, are you thinking about becoming a principal? I know I never was, but if you are, and I'm going to be talking with 3 international principals and about how their journey to becoming an international principal. So I encourage you to check us out. That's on the mornings on Thursday, U.S. time. China time would probably be in the evening. So once again, I do want to give a big thank you to our guests today on today's show. And I encourage you all to go abroad. It will be one of the best decisions you ever make in your entire life. I promise you that. So thank you all for joining us live. And thank you to the guests. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Andrew. And thank you, Yaara.
Thanks for having us.
Yes,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Ryan.
We'll see you on Global Take next Thursday. See you then. Bye, everybody. Thank you for watching School Rubric on YouTube. Make sure that you like, follow, and subscribe in order to stay looped in on all of our diverse collection of shows, interviews, panels, tutorials, and more from educators around the globe. And visit us at schoolrubric.com for even more great content, such as our online articles, Interact magazine, featured podcasts, and more. Thank you.